see, it
Yo,
might
yo,
sound funny,
guy, please,
but I just feel like he might be the chosen one. But the thing is,
Answer which
in
one, guy?
football, but the thing is, in football, because of the kind of teams he's managed, I feel like I never see that happen.
Hey guys, welcome back to the pod. I'm sure you guys haven't seen, United these days. So I'm here with my boys as usual to kind of discuss a little bit about this. We see Ten Hag right now. Man U have been a roller coaster of for managers since Fergie left. We're just going to discuss a little bit about that and maybe what we think has been or who's been the best for them so far. If we think they've all been bad selections for United and maybe what they can look forward to bring in into the team.
Should,
You
Yeah.
know,
should
now that
we
I'm thinking
start
about it,
from immediately Fergie left, and then flow in to where we are now? Or how do you want us to do it?
Yeah. I think maybe it's easier for us to just maybe kind of give our thoughts on since Fergie till now. However, we individually want to do that as opposed to maybe having to go in that order. So yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say that now that I'm thinking about it, I think we can also do one for Chelsea because Chelsea not as bad
Bro.
as
That's it.
not as
Okay,
bad as
from
Man
who?
U.
From which manager
Yeah,
should we start?
from who is it? That's the real question. From who?
The list is long. How many managers Chelsea gets?
Chelsea,
Yeah.
we average one manager a year.
Yeah,
We've
but
not
we've
had a
always known
Fergie.
that. We've always known that for sure. But since Fergie, I think David Moyes, obviously, I think he was chosen by Fergie. I think
Handpicked, unfortunately.
handpicked, right? The golden
Successor.
exactly. But I don't think the expectations were fair. But again, whenever you take up a role like that, you already know what you signed up for. And I think I watched an interview where David Moyes said like he couldn't tell his wife or something when he got the job initially because he really couldn't believe it, right? When he was told that you're getting the job. But I mean, based on what he was able to achieve, like he only won the Community Shield, I believe.
Yeah.
I think he did a decent job, but I don't think he was ready for it, right? Like, I think there's a lot more support from the fans that obviously like would have benefited him, but I think it was just too much for someone like David Moyes to handle. And I mean, he had coached other teams as well. I think prior to that, he had coached
I think
Everton.
Everton was
his main.
He spent like 10 years or so Everton.
right.
Yeah, and he was doing an amazing job.
Amazing job,
at Everton.
exactly.
Like they were a very consistent, like top 6, 7 team,
Yeah.
under Moyes.
And we can see what's happening to them ever since that change.
Yeah.
So that's the topic for another day. But essentially, I think he did a decent job. I think just the expectations in our time now is much different from what Fergie had, and just what he left with him as well. Like the expectations were a lot higher then, and then he couldn't really live up to that. What do you think, Ide?
I honestly I feel one of the biggest problems with the United job is I feel it's such a big job, right? Like when you think of United's manager, in comparison to every other club, I don't think there's a harder role. And I think that reason is people still look at Fergie where it's like almost like they are looking for a Fergie replacement, which is not realistic. Like on the last episode, we are just discussing winning, one manager winning 13 league titles with with one club. That's not issue you can feel. So I feel like United fans, for starters, which they might have at this point, like it's like you have to move on from the United you knew and understand that United is gone. There's no Fergie. There's no Fergie coming to take charge of United. We know all the influence Fergie had in the Premier League. Even with referees, like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, there's no manager that is coming to give you that, right? And despite all the legendary players like United have had under Fergie, like Fergie also, like players also, you know, overperformed for United under Fergie. Like he has had some underwhelming teams in the past that have been able to like, do things you don't really expect them to do. So again, I feel anyone coming into United with the expectations from fans of doing what Fergie has been doing for United, it's already, you've already lost that job, honestly. And I think when Moyes came in again, he wasn't ready for that job because being the first manager post Fergie, bruh, like that's a lot you're asking for from a manager. Like I feel like that's the kind of role where a manager that already has like the aura, the rep, the all
Like
that
a
that
Mourinho, I think would
yes,
have
like a
been like,
Mourinho, like a
yeah.
Pep, like an Ancelotti, like those guys that if it doesn't even work out, then it doesn't work out. But no one is there thinking like, oh, they did you a favor giving you this job, right? And I feel that's the problem with United, when it comes to managers ever since up until this point. Um, it's just again, someone comes in, they're looking at okay, who's going to take us back to our glory days, and it's like okay, soon they realize okay, this person can't do it. But they also forget that even quality of players in the club now compared to then isn't exactly the same. Um, you know, and I think ultimately the only way they solve this problem is they pick the right manager for a 3 to 5 year plan. Like I feel
Yeah.
like almost how Klopp came to Liverpool and turned Liverpool around. But like you guys were patient. Kind of what Arteta is doing to Arsenal right now. They have to do something. Like I feel like that's what it has to be. And it has to be a manager that comes with also like kind of like the right team culture, comes with the right like team everything, shall where just setting up like just resetting. It's like you're coming and you're doing like a factory reset on the club where it's like, okay, the culture here is bad. You guys are doing things the wrong way. Training. There's just kind of like a refresh, and then you start all over again. And I think until United fans are ready for that, and United is ready to hire such a manager, they're just going to remain in this roller coaster of like switching managers, over and over and over again.
Yeah. And Andrew,
Andrew, go
before you
ahead.
go,
I was about to say
I
something
just wanted
very
to,
funny, but just go
yeah,
on.
yeah, I just wanted to add that I do think there's an aspect of Man U fans not being ready for that change. I mean, we did see some players from the academy like sneak into the team, Rashford, Jesse Lingard. There was kind of like an era of that. But the issue that I think we all know and we've now seen is that, yeah, it's post Fergie era, but he still has a lot of things being done behind the scenes, right? Like from our perspective, obviously, we're not seeing him pulling any strings, but I think again with his most recent contract or role with Mayu being cancelled, I think we definitely know that this whole role of him playing like some form of a contractor or like um, playing an advisor to Man U, he had like a very strong saying in that club. So it was almost a situation of like, okay, yes, we can listen to the manager and listen to people around the squad, around the team that do have football knowledge. But Fergie was still, pulling a couple strings in there. Like, people, a lot of coaches were still looking at him as like sort of like, the guy or people that they will look to for advice. And again, you're not really allowing for change to be done as it should be, right? And then compared to other teams, other clubs that definitely took the time and allowed the coach to really um, impact like his style of play, impose himself on the team, on the club, essentially, and like leave a mark. So I think that's been a huge thing for Man U as well, not being able to move past the post Fergie era. But Andrew, what were you going to say?
I was about to say, just to kind of add to Kyrie's points, what manager do you think would be a good replacement? A manager that brings in like, a new culture, a manager that's fierce, and all the qualities that Kyrie was mentioning, it just pushed my mind towards a certain manager that I feel might be the best manager for Man U at the moment. I think Sean Dyche. If he comes into Man U, I think we're going to see we're going to see some changes. See, it might
Yo,
sound funny,
guy, please,
but
please.
I feel like he might be the chosen one. But the thing
As I
is,
wish Sean
in
Dyche.
football, in football, because of the kind of teams he's managed, because of the pedigree of the teams he has managed and his history, we might never see that happen, right? And I just feel like
Isn't
things like
Sean
that.
Dyche? Isn't Sean Dyche the guy you call when you don't get redicated?
Yes, no.
Imagine him bringing that kind of mentality into the
What
current Man U.
mentality?
Man U is playing. What's Man U's position? Someone should show me what Man U's position is.
Maybe 11th or something like that.
What are we saying? What are we saying? Sean cannot manage an 11th position team.
But the point is they are not trying to stay 11th.
No.
Andrew,
So
Andrew, I think the kind of promotion you're asking for is the one where company was about to get relegated and then ended up becoming the head coach for Bayern.
Exactly.
That's what you're asking for. But
Bro,
that's not. I don't know what happened there.
Are you watching Bayern
Yeah.
Munich? You see what
I know what you're saying. I know what you're
It's
saying.
very insane.
No,
Like,
but Andrew, we could see that already because one thing we're saying, like at least one thing I was saying then was with Burnley, I'm like, bro, company, like your football and everything, I love the idea there, but these Burnley players do not have the they do not have the the capabilities you're trying to So he always looked like someone that actually would fit a big club because he's like techers, like high techers, where if you have players that actually have the techers for this ball, it can work out. But Burnley players weren't, this guy was trying to do tiki taka with Burnley.
you know what Sean Dyche did with Burnley?
Are you joking? No,
Wait.
but he used to play haram ball, like proper haram ball. I don't think Man U fans are going to sign up for haram ball, bro.
I'm just joking. But I agree with you on your opinion of Man U needing a complete rehaul and finding a new identity. It reminds me of what Arsenal did in the 90s. Before Arsene Wenger, Arsenal was not the Arsenal today. This tiki-taka, all this passing, that was not Arsenal's identity. Arsenal was more or less haram football too. So he came in with his own philosophy, completely changed the identity of the club. Some people don't like the fact that he introduced a lot of black people into Premier League. He started the first ever black 11 squad. He changed the identity, he made international footballers, like French footballers, he just made a complete squad of all international. He just brought his own identity, changed the full club. Till today, we kind of look at Arsenal and still look at what he did, like the image that he created. That's kind of the image that we still point towards Arsene Wenger or towards Arsenal.
Yeah.
I feel like if Man U has a manager that comes in and makes that kind of change, a change that generational, like 20 years, 30 years from now, we'll still be looking at Man U and having that identity and not still holding on to Fergie, just moving on per se, like breaking up and moving on. Maybe that might be what they need to make things better. Because as you said, they keep looking for Fergie replacements. They keep looking for their glory days. They're doing like Trump. Like, it doesn't work that way. You have to create your own future and move on from the past.
Yeah. So 2 questions I wanted to ask you guys. And shout out to Wenger. Like, I think Wenger is one of the greatest footballing minds of our generation, and Wenger's talent spotting too was quite amazing. I won't lie. But my question,
sorry, to add to that, it's so funny because when you just brought up something in my mind. The thing about Wenger spotting talent is that I think Wenger spotted every single top player in like that generation.
Yeah.
Like literally, like
yeah, bro.
Like it's just not signing them that
Every
became
single
big. Like, but he spotted every single.
They used to clown him and Arsenal for that. Was just like Arsenal almost signed everybody that
Yeah, every single
Wenger,
exactly.
right.
And that
it's like
it's a good and also a bad thing as Tosin just said. Obviously, it's good that your coach can see talent. Like, he didn't need to buy players; he could just see it. If Wenger scouts, you just know you are in for it. Right? So, that's good.
Like,
Maybe mine needs something like that too.
Even post when he retired, or I guess when he left us now, like when I saw him speak on halftime shows and all that, right? Like when he speaks, you're just like, bro, like you learn a lot from everything he has to say. And it sucks that he's not more successful than he was. Do you get, like, I feel like the latter years of his Premier League days made him out to be worse of a manager or a footballing mind than he really was. Like with Mourinho, especially, that whole specialist in failure, all that stuff, right? He didn't allow people to give Wenger his flowers, but I feel like he was operating in a league where, in all honesty, he just couldn't hang. Like at that point, you were dealing with big boys that had the team, had the money, the backing, and the truth of the matter is, like, Arsenal, as talented as they were sometimes, they just never really had a better team than Chelsea, United, for the most part. So, but yeah. Anyways, my question as we go towards rounding this up is, of all the managers post Fergie, so I would mix it up with the caretaker managers. So, I mean, we've had the actual managers who were signed. So you have Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Ole, and Ten Hag, and then you obviously have some caretakers there like Giggs, Carrick, Ralph Ragnick. Who do you guys think, for one, do you think any of those managers? Do you think Man should have stuck to any of those managers and kind of like believed in them and like made them okay, this is our 2-3 year this is our 2-3 year manager.
They gave
for 5 years, whatever it is. We're just like, let's stick with this guy, type thing. And so that's the first question. The second question is, who do you think of all those guys was the best? So just going by what they did, where it's like, okay, this guy was the one who delivered most of them. Yeah.
Let me go first. Who do I think they should have given more time? I think they should have given Van Gaal more time. During Van Gaal's period, yes, they only won FA Cup. Like, we know that. But we could see the new culture coming in. We could see that youth development that we're talking about with Wenger coming in. People forget, Van Gaal brought in, he gave Marcus Rashford his start. A lot of other young players that he gave a very good start, or maybe not start, but he gave them chance to shine per se. That season that he brought in Rashford was one of the most interesting seasons for Jesse Lingard and some other young players as well. So he's already bringing up a foundation, right, for the next, or for he's building up his team essentially. If you look at it, they didn't have enough buying power per se. They bought some players then, but buying power, I don't mean like money. I mean, when if you're in the market to buy players, you're going to tell them, oh, we're going to win this, win that.
Yeah,
we'll pay you this and that. If you, mind you, at that point, could not promise anybody to win anything, so they could only promise them we'll pay you, right? So they don't have that buying power. They don't have that pool. Real Madrid can buy players without paying for them because they have the pool. They'll be like, guy, winning Champions League, come, and you come. You don't need to think about salary. So, but mind you, all they had during this period was essentially money. Yeah. So that was why they were doing stupid transfers, like 100 million, all these things.
I won't lie, low-key, like with mine, like that's when we've seen like Falcao, Di Maria,
they were spending
all these guys just coming in and out.
But yeah, I feel like that if they gave him more time, they would have won more. Like, he was building a team then. Man U was a fear, like, you fear Man U then. All these players they are mentioning, they were having stints, they were having streaks of like good games here and there.
Yeah.
Yes, they didn't end first or second in the league, but I think they ended third once. And they won an FA Cup.
With Van Gaal, they came second once. Huh? Was it Van Gaal?
And I don't think it was Mourinho came second.
Ole came second.
I think Ole came second too. So yeah, but yeah, they had good stints. There were times where you watch them, and I don't think it took. I think it took them to one. I'm not sure. Maybe you guys can correct me, to one Champions League or not, or it took them to a Europa League final. I think that was Ole, but Van Gaal did the work or something like that. Maybe just correct me if I'm wrong, sure.
Yeah. Ole took them to a European final.
Europa League final.
They played against Villarreal and they lost in penalties. Yeah, they lost in penalties. Yeah.
But I just feel like Van Gaal would have with more time, Van Gaal probably would have
Yeah.
been the best
And
manager.
who
Or
would
would
you say was
have
the
given them
best?
a good foundation for them to move past Fergie's time.
Fergie.
But who do I think was the best manager they had so far? Obviously, Jose Mourinho. I don't even know why. Till today, I don't really understand what caused the breakup between Mourinho and Mourinho.
Is
They,
Mourinho's on his
yeah,
rift to players for the most part. He's always rift to
we
players.
we understand that. But during Mourinho's time was when they were the most successful. That's when they had
Yeah, yeah,
the likes of Lukaku, Ibrahimovic.
yeah.
Rooney was
And they
ending his
also
career and
finished second.
everything.
They finished second then with
They finished
80 points.
second. They won
And
a domestic treble.
I don't think any manager has done 80 points for United
Mourinho.
since Fergie left,
Yeah.
right? So
A domestic
Yeah,
treble consisting of Community Shield, Europa League, and FA Cup. Carabao Cup, which is amazing for Man U, right? So they won the most. They had the best winning rates. They had all these good things with them. And I feel like
yeah.
he was the best manager. They had the best thing to him. I still don't understand, as you said, maybe players and all that. But
Yeah. And that was
Mourinho
when
was
he had his iconic, a bunch of iconic interviews about
like Mourinho
United
was
players,
yeah,
about overachieving with the team. Was just like, bro, like nobody else can do what I'm doing with this team. Like, you
and he's
know,
right
yeah, he's right because I mean,
because
as we've
no one has been
seen,
able to do it.
as we've seen, no one has come close to. But Mourinho is a winner. Like he's a psychopath, like to a certain extent. And I think the United players weren't just caught out. He was able to do that once, but after that, I think those guys were just like, nah, man, like we're not doing this. We're not doing this for another season. But yeah, Dustin, let's
um,
let's
one thing I wanted to add about the Mourinho, and I also think he's been their best coach so far. But one thing he pointed out was that in the season where he finished second with Man U behind Pep, he said that was his biggest like achievement.
achievement.
Yeah, and people till today, like I think he said it a few more times after that. People today don't understand what he was trying to like emphasize. Like he was pretty much saying with the team that he had and with everything that was going on behind the scenes, like what he was able to produce with that team and the fact that he was able to come second with coaches like Klopp, and I think then it was either Unai Emery, that was with Arsenal. I'm not sure who it
Yeah.
was,
It was
but
still Wenger. It was still Wenger.
it was still
You
Wenger.
know,
Okay,
Yeah, his first season was still Wenger. It has to be
but the
Wenger.
season he came second.
Unai Emery came to Arsenal 2018.
Because Mourinho's season of second was 2017-18. Wenger was still at Arsenal then. Right?
Yeah, that was Wenger's last
Okay.
season. Unai Emery was 18,
yeah.
19, 19, 20, then 20 was at the top.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so what he was trying to say was like the fact that he was able to put that kind of team together and achieve what he did. It was such a difficult task for him, and he still, still today he still talks about it. But again, if we're talking about my favorite coach, I would say for me it was Ole. I feel like Ole had some form of control over the locker room. The players somewhat trusted him. I think he was very trusted just within the dressing room as well and respected generally. I do think, obviously the fact that he hadn't necessarily coached other teams and he didn't have that experience, like obviously affected his time there. Took them to the finals. They lost in penalties, unlucky. I think he's someone that could build with Man U because again, he still had the identity that they wanted. He kind of had the trust, being a player there himself. He had won things as a player for Man U. I believe he could have had, a better run. His win percentage wasn't too bad as well, around the 50 mark, right? I think he had a good span of games where we looked at Man U, like, okay, maybe they could play good football. Maybe they do have some style of play, a certain like system that they're playing with Ole, and it was exciting, honestly, to watch Man U then. But again, I think we're just in the era where coaches don't get enough time to really, set or create their style of football, and then the fact that fans are not seeing any form of success, it's just hard for them to stand behind you, right? And I think at the end of the day, the ownership always feels too much pressure to make a decision, and probably over what they would actually like to happen. It's just a situation where fans want to see results. We can't really go according to what our plan is there without seeing those results. So for me, um, again, personally, I think is the best is Ole, but the most successful, as we all know, has been Mourinho. So at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to in football. But yeah, what do you think, Heidi?
Honestly, with that perspective you just gave of Ole, yeah, I think that's honestly a good shout. Yeah, I'll probably also still lean towards Mourinho, just because, again, I think at the end of the day, it's all about winning, and I feel like they came off as I feel like that was the strongest version of them from a winning perspective. With Ole, I think with Ole as well, for sure, we saw, we saw that side of them as well. They were in a pushover and all that, but yeah, I think I think I'll go Mourinho. As for
Heidi,
what, yeah,
since we're talking about trophies, does Ten Hag get any sort of props in terms of success? Because obviously Ten Hag has two, Mourinho has two as well.
I just told you Mourinho won
no,
triple
no, Mourinho has more, I believe.
With Man U, I think Mourinho just won Europa and the Carabao.
and
Did he
competition.
win it? Oh, are we, okay.
In
Committee
this kind of
shield.
conversation, it matters.
Sure. Committee shield. Okay, fine. So we have those three trophies. Does Ten Hag winning trophies play a part in your mind as well, or
So,
for me it doesn't.
Yeah,
But
no,
I
no.
want to know.
So,
I want
so,
to know what
so
you
I
think.
think, the additional context to that I guess maybe I'm not spelling out is, for instance, again, I think I was saying how, like, the eye test, right? Like, by just watching the teams, right? So before we get to the trophies, by just watching the teams, the United team, the Mourinho United team, you typically don't want to face that team, right? Even Ole, like, I feel like with Ole, you never really wanted to face that team. With Ten Hag, there's no fear factor is even too much of it. But there's no is United. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, no one is scared of facing United one bit. There's that. Then there's obviously the league finishes, right? Like Mourinho being able to finish with 80 points, 70 something, I believe. Ten Hag, I think his best finish as of now is still maybe third or fourth, one of the two. Sure. But again, so I think it's just a mix of everything. So you just winning a trophy, that's good for your resume. It's good for the club. It's good for the fans. But again, even Man U fans, despite him winning something like as he was winning last season, they were saying, please, you guys should still help us and fire this guy. Like, thanks for the trophy, but like, still go. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's one of those. If there was something like a useless trophy, like I feel Ten Hag has won two useless trophies in terms of like that. No one is like that. That hasn't convinced anyone, despite him winning. So yes, I guess again, maybe just contextually speaking, Ten Hag's trophies unfortunately don't really do anything. They don't really make a case
yeah.
for him. And I think for me, if I was to pick a manager, funny enough, he was a caretaker manager, which was Ragnick. I feel like of all the guys that were in charge of Man U for even a little, he's the one person that called out what I felt like were the real problems at United. Like, he's the one person that was there, was just like, it's not tactics, is not what's killing you guys right now is not just the fact that they're not fielding the right 11 and all that stuff, right? Like, there's so much more going on behind the scene that can't even allow the team perform. It's almost like Ronaldo's whole rant of like, as in the same gym I was using back in Fergie days is what you guys are still using now. How is a club meant to move forward like that? Do you get what I'm saying? So, and Ragnick was calling out all these things, saying like, okay, if I was to become a permanent manager, because I think then there was a discussion towards him becoming
Yeah,
permanent. It
he
was like,
denied. He didn't take the offer.
yeah. So it's like, you guys are setting me up for failure if all these things are out of place. Again, it's not just about tactics. Do you get? It's just not like, it's how we've discussed in the past with Chelsea, where our problems. Sure, there's the player part, there's the manager part, but like, then we're saying how like the biggest problem might be the owners and how they're trying to run the club and how it trickles down and affects everything. So it's like me saying if there was someone they could trust for 3 to 5 years, as we're discussing, I would say Ragnick, because if they were willing to trust him, that guy was already like he had his eyes on the problem. Even if he didn't work out, he would have put them in a better position for the next manager that would maybe then take them to the next level. Because I mean, he might not be in my opinion, he's not necessarily like a great manager where it's like, oh, like this guy is some tactical genius again, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So he might not have taken them back to that level, but he would have kind of like steered the ship in the right direction for United, where it's like, okay, now these guys are ready to like start flying again because he has corrected the real problems behind the scenes. So I feel if I had to pick someone for United, it would definitely be Ragnick.
On that note, like restructuring Man United, I agree. But I was looking at his record, and I think he was interim manager for 29 games, and he won 11, lost 11, and then drew 7. So like he definitely wasn't the guy to take them back to their winning ways, but he would have played a major role in just sort of like steering the ship back. And just the fact that he was even called out by Ronaldo. I remember Ronaldo saying something along the lines of, why is a guy that is not even known as a manager like coaching me and putting me on the bench or even playing with my minutes kind of thing. And it's like we all looked at Ronaldo back then and we're like, bro, you ruined this team, you came back, you made it all about yourself. But I can't even imagine what his experience was like, especially with what you said, Kaide, like going back and seeing that he still had the same standards. Like the facility was still the exact same, and they were playing. They were paying a lot of players like 250k, 350k a week. Like everyone was going to Man United to get a bag. Like literally, like Pogba, Sanchez. Like we had players that were going there to just kind of like, you know what, they need a superstar. Let me go there and make a name for myself.
It's United.
It's United exactly, and they had an amazing way of destroying a lot of like careers for young players. And the first couple of years we're looking at it like, okay, maybe it's just like not the right fit. But then if we look at the numbers and just the eye test, like you said, if we want to go down by like the track of players, we can sit here today and list at least 8 to 10 really good players that had like a super high ceiling that went to Man United and their careers just deteriorated. Like we can go down that lane.
Yeah, that's too many.
So we can look at the coaches and blame them and do all of this stuff, but then at the end of the day, I know that it must come from internally. Whatever is going on at Man United needs to be changed, right? But
yeah. But yeah, I think to end now, if you guys have a name in mind, if you think there was the right manager to steer Man United in the right direction right now, who would that be?
Andrew said Sean Dyche, so
Sean Dyche definitely, but I'm sure the conversation will be filled with people that are going to support Ten Hag and say in Ten Hag we trust. I'm with you. In Ten Hag,
I'm with you. Honestly,
So,
as a
know,
fan of any other team, please keep Ten Hag with Man
keep
U.
Ten
And
Hag,
like,
definitely.
especially with Liverpool, I think our aggregate score against Ten Hag like
maybe
has
like
to be like
something now.
Bro, we love playing Man U. Like we love it. So
I know Chelsea were playing United. We're playing United within a month. So at least whatever they do, they should not just sack him before then. Because at this point, it's looking like him getting sacked is a reality.
The 5-year extension.
No, but Andrew, honestly, if you had to pick someone to replace them that's available on the market right now, or maybe isn't even available, who would you go for?
That's a very, very vague question. Because I'll just pick Pep, right? It's not available on the market, Pep.
Nah, but I don't think he's a good fit, by the way. I don't think
Pep will do everything we are saying. Like Pep knows the problem.
I don't think Pep has the patience for that.
Pep doesn't have the patience.
From track
Technically, yes,
Pep
right,
doesn't have the patience, but he has the respect to demand something like that. Like if Pep goes to Man U, he's going to go in there with certain requests that this and this and this and this has to be done
before
so maybe it's not a fit in that sense.
I think it's not a fit because if you guys remember, before he went to City, Chelsea was on the table, United was on the table, but those things just didn't align. Like it's just like I feel like the level of control he has with City, because it's City. City don't have the pedigree United have. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like what Manchester United, a manager cannot come to Manchester United and want to be running things. Do you get what I'm saying?
For sure.
So then there's nobody.
Chelsea isn't on United's level in that sense, but Chelsea too was kind of the same thing. I think Abra was the one there. You're not coming into Abra's house to run things, right? It's like he still has the say. So I feel City were willing to do that for him, and I think United to date, a manager can't really come and, what Pep does, I guess what Pep has in a place like City, United won't give you that. But if they would give him that, I think, for sure, he would be a good fit, but I just don't see that.
Like, is your question with all things being equal, or with the way Man U is someone that will...
No, obviously you have to put Man U into context of it.
Yeah. Honestly, then there's no one, because the issue is not manager, the issue is just the management. There's really no one.
I won't lie. I think my answer to was like, honestly, I don't even know. If I'm being genuine, I don't even know. But if I had to pick someone, I would pick someone where I'm just like, bro, you guys should just take a gamble on like a, on Amorim or no, definitely not Southgate. I feel like they should. Yo, come on, bro. Bro, come on, man. But I would say someone like Amorim, like sporting coach, or like De Zerbi, Graham Potter, like some of these guys that just have a philosophy of football and just take a gamble. But it's like I don't think there's any manager readily available to say that I would look at and be like, this is the right fit for United. They wanted Tuchel, right? And I feel Tuchel is just a cycle of he'll come them and give them like a Mourinho or Ole stint of okay, he would gra and win one thing for them. But it's like your team is not really progressing as a whole. Do you get what I'm saying? But it's like, again, I really don't know what's going to do it for Man United, but maybe the glory days are finally over. I don't mind.
There's this French manager that won the AFCON for Congo. You guys know him. He's white.
Yeah, I know him.
He's very mean. That guy can do it, probably.
No, man.
He doesn't do.
Those are knockout tournaments.
He only does international knockouts.
Trust me.
That's the kind of help they need. Essentially, that's the kind of help. It can be a coach in Man U, maybe not manager, but that's the kind of help they need. Like internal people that will literally they'll force them to do what they have to do.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
That being said, man.
No. I didn't even give my pick. I think for me, I don't know what I feel like someone like Ancelotti can maybe, change or have a different approach to how he would, manage a team like Man U. Again, he's someone that has the pedigree, can command, some sort of order within the team, within the whatever infrastructure Man U currently has, and then hopefully make some changes there. But
the thing with Ancelotti do is I feel like these guys are too ass for Ancelotti, man. I feel like he would command the respect. He would command the respect, but I feel like it's kind of how like people wanted Zidane to take over United, and the truth of the matter is, like those guys rely on individual brilliance in each of their. When you look at the teams they've been successful with, when you look at the team goalie to striker, everyone can hold their own. Because if there were guys that can't hold their own, maybe you have one or two players in the starting lineup. And those guys are not tacticians. Do you get? So like they're not coming there to build one system, one Conte-like system or one Tuchel-like system. So I feel like they rely on their players a lot. And United, as of today, I don't think they have the players. Like you have maybe someone like Bruno that you would say, okay, depending on the team, Bruno can step it up. But outside of Bruno, who else? Like Rashford, 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that I think with me saying Ancelotti, like he did coach Everton for I don't know, like was it up to a season or maybe
like a season and a half.
Yeah,
it was like a season and a half.
So he took that job, and with that in mind, I think if Man U does offer him like a significant amount of control. He can sign certain players, sort of integrates his system into Man U currently, with a few players here and there. I think
Yeah.
Ancelotti can. Again, but he's not available right now, so I can't really think of anyone else that could do a job with Man U with the way things are set up right now. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess that's a good place to end it. Um, yeah, United. Obviously, I don't wish them luck on on
On
resolving this
finding their
Anything.
issue.
manager.
Like anything.
I don't. So yeah, I wouldn't pretend like I do. But yeah, let us know what you guys think. For the United fans, you know, you guys probably know your club best. So let
In
us know
Ten Hag we
what do you
trust.
guys think the issue really is. Do you think there's one manager that can come in and solve that problem, or do you think your club is finished? Let us know what you think.
Yeah, but
Obviously, we hope your club is finished, but would leave you guys to decide. But yeah, Tosin, are there anything else to add before we round this up?
no,
No,
nothing,
just
nothing. Just press
yeah.
all the buttons, like, subscribe, share, comments. Let us know how you feel about the episode. Let us know your comments on who you think has been the best manager of Man U post Fergie. Just let us know. Let us know your opinions.
Yep.
Yep.
And I guess on that note, see you guys next episode. Peace.
Peace.